Good afternoon and welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. Give me a second while I welcome our Spanish-speaking neighbors. Buenas tardes, gracias por estar con nosotros hoy día en 3 p.m. con SOC. Mi gente, arreglamos el problema que tuvimos ayer con la traducción o la interpretación. Es que nosotros estábamos experimentando con un nuevo servicio porque estábamos teniendo problemas anteriormente con el que teníamos. En el momento cuando nosotros sacamos una membresía con este nuevo sistema, cambiaron el número de acceso y nosotros no nos dimos de cuenta. Ojalá que todo hoy va suave. Ahora, el número que tienen que marcar es 646 749 3122 y la contraseña es 779-328-221. Perdona y ojalá nos dejan saber si todo está bien para hoy. I was just apologizing to our Spanish-speaking neighbors because we were trying a new teleconference number because we were having problems with the former one. And while we were on trial membership, we had one access number. Once we took out the membership for the subscription, the number changed, but we weren't aware of that. So that was what was causing the access problems yesterday, and hopefully those are all resolved now. My name is Tammy Rivera. I'm the Executive Director and Lead Organizer for Southside Organizing Center Soccer SOC. We're so glad that you're here with us. And I want to remind you that you can get a hold of us in all the ways you always could, except for in person. And we can't do that until we know we're all safe. And just when we were having hopes things were getting safe, as you well know, the 53204 and the 53215 zip codes are experiencing huge spikes in positive cases. So we're going to be taking the highest level of precautions for our staff and for you all. But in the meantime, you can access us at 672-8090, our same phone number, at our email, soc@socmilwaukee.org, and you can visit our website at www.socmilwaukee.org, where we have a page dedicated. In addition to our regular webpage, we have a dedicated page to information resources and ways you can take action around the coronavirus. I also want to remind you that you have access to these forums anytime you want. We publish them here on our Facebook and also on YouTube. And we publish a version with the Spanish interpretation that's taking place simultaneously right now. We're also put up an edition of the forum with that dubbed over Spanish. So you can come back to it and you can share it with other folks. And so we encourage you to do that. I want to let you know what's coming up for the rest of the week. This is our week dedicated to education. Next week, mi gente, especially a las, we want a week dedicated to disabilities. And so we're hoping to have MPS special ed on next week. We weren't able to get a response for them for this week. And we're hoping even to have Alas on. So that's an invitation. Elsa will follow up. Independence first. Let us know if you want to hear from anyone else. But that's our plan. This week, education. Next week, disabilities. Please remember, if you appreciate this program, the information that's being shared, we ask one thing of you, and that's to fill out our survey. It only takes, honest to goodness, it probably takes 2 or 3 minutes, but it doesn't take more than 5. And it just asks you what information was helpful, what are you appreciating about the program, what we could do different, or what we could add. So please cooperate with us. I know it might get tedious for you to do it every day, but it helps us to know how things are going, and then we can share that with our funders, and many of them require that we get feedback from you all. So please help us out there. Tomorrow, we have back with us Dr. Keith Posley, Superintendent of MPS, to give us an update on what's happening with the schools, with the referendum funds, et cetera, et cetera. And Mr. Galvan, our regional superintendent, will be talking with us as well. And also tomorrow, we have our Public Health Commissioner, Jeanette Kowalik. She'll be giving us an update and discussing several things with us. And then Friday, we're going to hear what's happening at UWM in terms of education from Alberto Maldonado. He's the director of the Roberto Hernandez Center, and he'll be with us. So you don't want to miss it. Before we get started, I just want to share our sort of obligatory disclaimer. The views and opinions shared on the program don't necessarily reflect those of SOC, just to keep us all on the safe side. All right, critical update, folks. First of all, keep it going, protesters, young folks. You're making an impact. We're putting our efforts into this forum, but I promise as soon as we get some clearance to be in person doing some activities, I will be joining a little later when I get that clearance. But thank you for holding up the front, and thank you the families who are sacrificing there. What's happening that's critical that you need to know? As you know, we put out a survey for you all to give input into Police Chief Morales' review, because we were asked from the Fire and Police Commission for our feedback. And well, as you've heard me say before, if you ask a community organizer what their opinion is about something, it's my opinion that they should say, I'll get back to you when I talk to the people. And that's what we did. We asked for your input, and 233 responses came in. 133 were from the South Side, and that's what we were asking for. So we compiled that information and sent it to the FBC. And so what you need to know as a follow-up, if you remember, they were going to review last week. They needed a little more time. So tonight, the meeting has been moved from 5:30 to 6, and it's an executive session, so a private session with the executive committee. It's not public, but they'll be tackling Chief Morales's review as well. And then what you need to know that yesterday the Common Council passed a resolution urging the Fire and Police Commission to require that police officers report gun anytime they pull out a gun, mace, or stun gun. And so they're making that recommendation to the Fire and Police Commission, which is the official body who can change policy. So just so you know, that's where the Common Council is at, and they have sent that to the FBC for consideration. What I'd like to do now is invite on Marlene Zoran. She is our forum coordinator, but she is also our coronavirus coordinator, and she has a very special guest today. So I'm going to invite Marlene on, and she's going to take it from here in this segment of the program.
Oh,
Hola,
hello.
Marlene. Mask up, Marlene.
So we're masking up. So let me get started with what I'm doing right now. So Mask Up is a challenge where we're going to ask everyone to wear their mask and take a selfie and post it on their social media platforms. We want you to tag 3 friends, and once you tag those 3 friends, those individuals that are tagged should put up a picture of themselves wearing a mask. What we want you to do is to wear a mask everywhere you go, outside of your home, because it is necessary at this moment to wear a mask, and wearing a mask decreases your chances of getting COVID-19 by 70%, according to the CDC. So that being said, there's going to be a COVID-19 mask ordinance for Milwaukee. So tomorrow there will be a special public health and safety meeting to discuss the mask ordinance at 1:30. So what that means is there might be a policy or ordinance put down in Milwaukee that requires you to wear a mask everywhere you will be going. Which is a good thing because it'll help decrease numbers within Milwaukee, and we can, move past COVID-19 eventually. Another important update I have for you today is that we have a guest, and her name is Virginia Zerpa. She's the Community Outreach Coordinator from the Alzheimer's Association. So I'd like to welcome her on the forum. Hello, Virginia. How are you?
Hello. I'm well, thank you.
That's good.
So good. So
Yes, I love your glasses. They're very stylish. So welcome to the forum. I would like you to kind of give an idea to individuals of what the Alzheimer's Association is and what you do, and then we can talk about your services.
perfect. Yes. So the uh, Alzheimer's Association is an association dedicated to this devastating in the finding the cure. They're also learning, discovering this disease. Like we still don't know what causes Alzheimer's. So they're also studying that, finding better treatments for it and preventing it. Okay, because one thing is to cure it, but then I think this disease is very difficult to cure. They have shifted their paradigm, and they're also working on learning, is it possible to prevent Alzheimer's and other dementias? So we are the largest non-profit organization, the largest non-profit funder of research in the world. Then we are number 3, after the government of China, U.S. government, and then comes us, little us, you know. So they do fund huge amounts of money to finding a cure, and then but we also do, and we have invested over $82 million on research since 1982.
Wow.
And we take risk. We do take risk on who we grant. The China and U.S. government are more conservative. They only fund researchers who have proven themselves and have a portfolio. So it's very conservative. We are a little bit more liberal. We like to fund those scientists who think outside the box.
Mm.
And actually, we have helped many scientists to build their portfolios, and then the Institute of Health, which is the government branch. So besides research, we also do advocacy. We cannot do this alone. So we advocate to the government, to the United States government, to increase funding for research, which they have done. They have increased like around 4 million, an additional 4 million every fiscal year since 2015, thanks to our advocacy. And now they're over $1 billion in annually that they fund on research. And their research branch is the National Institute of Health. And they have amazing scientists working for the Institute. So we advocate for increased fund of research, which we have successfully accomplished every year. We're very proud that they keep adding to that $1 billion that they fund to research. Mm-hmm. And they also, we advocate for better services. These are all families impacted by Alzheimer's and need help. Usually it is one person taking care of their loved one living with us in another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And 70% of all in the community, they are our neighbors. They live in a home, in an apartment, just like you and me. And somebody there is taking care of them. So they live in the community, 70% of them, and they need resources. They need a break. They need respite services. They need adult day centers so their loved one can go there during the day, so they can go to work, or they just need to take care of themselves during those hours.
Mm-hmm.
So we also provide this then advocacy, right? Better resources. Then we also advocated for better training for people who work in nursing homes. Can you believe that those people that work in nursing homes do not have any training on how to take care of people with Alzheimer's or other dementia? So we advocate for a standard training. And we have advocated for that. We haven't been very successful on that because we get a pushback. Actually, our legislators get a pushback from nursing homes facilities that no, that's too much training. It's too cumbersome for our staff, but we think that will help them do a better job.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a lot of people to join us and advocate for this. You have a question?
I was wondering
No?
if
Okay.
you could explain what Alzheimer's is to people that don't know.
Yes, of course. Thank you. And then Alzheimer's is a neurological disease. It's progressive. There is no cure for this disease. So what it does, and we don't know how it starts, but it destroys all of our brain cells. Okay, so it starts at the base of the brain, right here, inside the brain, in the hippocampus, and it starts killing our brain cells very slowly. We found out that it takes Alzheimer's 10 to 20 years to kill our brain cells and before the first symptom of Alzheimer's appears. So the Alzheimer's is destroying the brain, but the person will not show the short-term memory loss, which is the first symptom, until maybe 10, 20 years later. And it destroys everything. It destroys the short-term memory center, which is at the base of the brain. It destroys the language center, understanding language and speaking. It destroys reasoning, thinking, the ability to learn, logic. It destroys our whole cognitive functions, as well as physical, the neurons in charge of our physical, like our digestion, our movements, walking, breathing, our heart. If Alzheimer's destroys also those brain cells. When Alzheimer's destroys the neurons in charge of our breathing or our heart, then the person will die. Okay? So it's a physical disease. It's not a mental health, because you can see how Alzheimer's destroys the brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brain damage. Okay, so it's a physical disease, and it's a slow progressing disease, and it's most common in people 65 years of age and older. The older we are, the higher our risk for developing this disease. And also, if you have a mother or a father that had Alzheimer's, you're also at a slight higher risk from the general population.
Mm. Is there
Any more questions? So that's what Alzheimer's is.
Yeah, is there premature Alzheimer's? I heard there is like younger individuals can also get Alzheimer's as well.
Yes, that's what we call the younger onset Alzheimer's. And that's the Alzheimer's that happens in people under the age of 65.
Oh, wow.
So it can happen in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And usually that younger onset has a strong genetic component to it.
Mm,
Those people have a gene mutation that happen. That's why they develop it younger. It's more aggressive than the late onset Alzheimer's.
mm.
Those people live on an average 2 to 4 years.
I see.
Alzheimer's disease, people, the average lifespan is 8 to 10, and many people can live up to 20 years with late onset Alzheimer's. But this younger onset is more aggressive, and people don't live too long with that disease.
Mm. Well, thank you for that
Thank you
information.
for asking that question. Very important.
Yeah. No, yeah,
And
my grandpa had Alzheimer's, so
it's more rare. The younger onset is more rare. How old was he?
he was around,
Was he older?
yeah, he was 80 years old when he was around 85, 86 when he passed away, but he got it when he was 80.
Because okay. Yes, once 85 years of age, 1 in 3 people 85 and older will have Alzheimer's disease.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very common in the population of 85 and older.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very common.
Yeah.
So it's very, you know,
Yeah.
it scares me.
So we lost
It's
the connection.
challenging disease.
We lost your
We
connection.
did?
So if you can,
Am I still on?
you're still on, but if you can repeat what you just said, because we missed it.
Very good. So we do provide education because this disease is very challenging. Okay, the behaviors that the people living with Alzheimer's present can be overwhelming to caregivers. Sometimes they think their loved one is doing those behaviors on purpose, and they're not. The constant repetition,
Mm-hmm.
the pacing back and forth. They're not sleeping at night and sleeping during the day. Their aggression and their fighting with the caregivers. There are reasons for those behaviors, and we educate caregivers about it. That there's all behavior is communication. They're telling you something through their behaviors because they no longer can communicate as well as you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So they communicate through behaviors. And we at the Alzheimer's Association, we provide education in classrooms, or we will now have virtual classes now because of COVID.
Right.
So we provide over 12 classes a month, every month of education.
That's amazing.
We also, it's amazing.
Yeah,
We do care consultation.
I want to hear about all
And we can do one-on-one. I'm sorry, Marlene. Go ahead.
No, for sure. We want to hear all about the resources and the services that you provide. But before that, let's say hello to some of the commenters and the viewers and look at their questions, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we'll say hello to Crystal. Sanchez, and hi to Marianne Martinez. Marianne Martinez has a question. He actually is asking, is there anything to prevent or detect the disease for Alzheimer's?
Yes, good question. As of now, there is nothing that will prevent it, but there are things that we can do to reduce our risk. So it's a difference between prevention and reducing our risk.
Mhm.
So things that reduce our risk is physical exercise. Wow, wow. There is nothing that does what physical exercise does to our brain. Is running, jogging, dancing, swimming.
Mhm.
It's amazing for our brain health.
Mhm.
And it has shown time after many clinical trials, the same results. And nothing can compare to physical exercise.
Mhm.
So do 30 minutes a day for 5 times a week of exercise, stronger, then it makes them fatter. And it's harder for Alzheimer's to kill them.
Mhm.
Okay? So exercise. Second, nutrition. Eating greens like spinach, collard greens, dark greens, very good. Strawberries, raspberries, and for brain health. Broccoli, beans, avocado, and fish, salmon, tuna, and mackerel. Or the Mediterranean or the mind diet, as in mind, MI, to eat to reap a benefit from those foods. And it has shown to reduce our risk by 35%.
Wow.
Yes. So, and then exercise and nutrition, and then a few clinical trials about mental stimulation and socialization. We know that people with more formal education have less risk for developing Alzheimer's than people with low educational attainment. So formal education, elementary school, high school, going to university is great for brain health.
Mhm.
So it's important to do that. And then
Right.
reading, but if people cannot go to universities, reading books, learning to play a new instrument, learning how to speak a different language has shown to be very good for brain health. And
Mhm.
also being volunteering for organization, meeting new people, socializing with new people has also shown benefits for brain health. So it's a long answer for that question, but yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of detail, which is exactly what we need. So now let's continue and say hi to the rest of the folks on the forum. So hello to Charlie, hello to Diana Becerra, hello to Lillian Ramos. We also have another question, kind of like a comment. What is a basic explanation of the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? This is from Diana.
Thank you. Good question. So there is still a lot of confusion about these two terms, even among doctors. Okay, some of them still don't know the difference. And dementia is not a disease. And when a doctor gives somebody you have dementia as a diagnosis, the patient, to say, wait a minute, doctor, dementia is not a disease. What is causing my dementia symptoms? because what dementia is just a term to describe a group of symptoms that can be caused by many illnesses, right?
Mhm.
It's like saying cancer, but there are many types of cancers, right?
Mhm.
There's stomach cancer, brain cancer, lymphoma, leukemia. The same with dementia. There are many illnesses that cause dementia, but not everybody with dementia has Alzheimer's disease. And so there's two different things. Not everybody with dementia has Alzheimer's disease, but everybody with Alzheimer's has dementia.
Oh.
Because also dementia can be caused by a deficiency of vitamin B12 in older people.
Mm.
Because as we grow older, it's harder for our bodies to absorb B12, vitamin B12.
Right.
When there is an acute deficiency, that will cause in people confusion, memory loss, difficulties in speaking, which mimic Alzheimer's, but it is not Alzheimer's.
Right.
Once those people get their levels of B12 up, the symptoms will go away.
Mhm.
Lyme disease, acute depression, dehydration can cause dementia.
Wow.
But all of those can be treated and the symptoms will go away.
Mm.
But of all the non-reversible diseases that cause dementia, Alzheimer's is the most common. 50 to 70% of all the non-reversible dementia cases are due to Alzheimer's disease. Second, followed by vascular dementia, then frontotemporal dementia, and then Lewy body dementia are the most common types of dementias. But there are over 60 types of neurological diseases that cause dementia. And none of them can be cured.
Wow.
And they all destroy the brain. So good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you for that information. We also put the Alzheimer's Association link in the comment section. So if anyone has any more questions or wants to know any more data on Alzheimer's, you can definitely go there. I do have a question for you regarding COVID and Alzheimer's. Have you seen a correlation with that? Like, is there an effect, more of an effect of risk of COVID-19 for individuals that do have Alzheimer's?
Yes, they have shown a study done. It was in Italy, because remember they were impacted highly by Italy, France, and China. The clinical trials that involve people with dementia, and you know that Alzheimer's destroys the immune system.
Mm.
So the immune system of people with Alzheimer's disease is weakened, right? And because of that, they were at highest risk for contracting COVID-19.
Wow.
Because of that reason, because of the weakened immune system.
Okay.
So yes.
So yeah. So that's interesting. Is there a way that
What they need.
is there a way
Go
that
ahead.
individuals who do have Alzheimer's can, help prevent, getting COVID-19?
Yes, but as you know, it's very hard because remember, 70% of them live at home,
Mm-hmm.
and especially those who live in nursing homes. As you saw, there was a high mortality rate of residents of nursing homes.
Mm.
But because the thing that they need to be isolated and put in a room by themselves with minimal contact from people.
Right.
But that's hard because even though they have Alzheimer's, they're still very social people. They still like company and to talk and be around people.
Mhm.
So to isolate them is cruel, can be cruel to them because they don't understand. Even if you explain to them, remember they don't have the reasoning capacity to understand what's going on. And if you keep them isolated, they may become angry, sad, and it's usually, I think, more cruel than the disease. But washing their hands frequently.
Mhm.
If you're gonna go see them, make sure you wear a mask when you're around them. Make sure you wear gloves and your hands are clean. Make sure you disinfect their room and where they live. So yeah, you need to do a lot to keep them safe.
Mhm. Diana Becerra said that, oh, very interesting that not everyone with dementia will have Alzheimer's, but everyone with Alzheimer's has dementia. Thank you for the very detailed explanation. So you've helped a lot of
You're
people
very well.
better understand what Alzheimer's is. I know I interrupted you, but you can now talk about the services that the Alzheimer's Association has, and we're going to put up your flyer. So you can go ahead and speak on that.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you keeping me in a straight line. Very good. So the services are, as I mentioned, we do provide, all of our services are free. And we provide a lot of education. And because of COVID, we have moved all of our services to virtual, but we never closed our doors virtually. You can go to our website and find our education schedule in our website. Actually, and then you can also go to www.alc.org community resource finder, and it will list all of our educational sessions, and you can register online, or you can call our 24/7 helpline. We have our 24/7 helpline. Our calling center, which is located in Chicago, our colleagues, that center is open, never closes. So you can also call them to register, to ask questions, or just if you need to talk and vent, because this disease is very hard. And they will be glad to listen to you and to give you empathy and sympathize with you and be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
So our website is full of information. So, and we also provide care consultations like this, virtual, where we can do it either by phone, like regular, or if people prefer to see a face, we can also arrange for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that link has been put in the comment section of the Facebook Live feed. And the flyer, we will be posting that on our Facebook page as well for individuals to have access to it anytime that they would like. Well, thank you, Virginia, for your time today. I really appreciate all the knowledge that you've given us today, and there's some things I didn't even know about Alzheimer's, and my grandpa had it. So thank you for your time, and thank you for explaining everything to
no, thank you for your invitation, and I appreciate being your guest.
Of course. All right, so that was very informative. We love to hear about, different diseases and different information that we didn't know about before that are affecting our loved ones. Sometimes it takes someone else who knows, all of the, basics to kind of explain that to us in order for us to fully understand what our loved ones are going through. So that being said, I have a video for you guys from the CDC, and it's going to talk about how you can maintain cleanliness within your home and disinfect your home while living with someone who does have COVID-19.
Clean and disinfect your home if someone has COVID-19. For common areas of the home. Each day, clean and disinfect high-touch surfaces and items. High-touch surfaces include tables, countertops, light switches, doorknobs, and cabinet handles. Put on disposable gloves. First, clean the surface with soap and water. Then, use a household disinfectant. Read the label to see how long you should keep the disinfectant on the surface. Have good airflow and ventilation. Follow instructions about rinsing off chemicals. Be sure to put products where children cannot reach them. To clean electronics, follow the manufacturer's instructions. Or use alcohol-based wipes or spray containing at least 70% alcohol. Wash dishes and utensils with soap and hot water or run them in a dishwasher. For sick areas or rooms of the home. A person who is sick should stay in a separate area or room and use a separate bathroom if possible. Only clean these areas if something gets soiled. This will help limit your contact. Have the person who is sick wear a cloth face covering. A caregiver may also wear a cloth face covering. Dedicate a lined trash can if available. Remove the gloves and wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. For more on cleaning and disinfecting your home for COVID-19, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus.
Well, that is all I have for you today. I will hand it back down to Tammy.
Thanks, Marlene and Virginia. That was very meaningful discussion and education about Alzheimer's. I am going to give the civic update. We generally do what's coming up on the week on Mondays. As you know, we didn't have a program Friday or Monday surrounding the holidays, so we can give our staff a break. And then Gabe was out yesterday and not available today, so I'm going to give you what's coming up. An update. If you remember that Gabe reported that the new election commission executive director had withdrawn her name from consideration for appointment. However, she has reversed her decision and she will be serving, and the Common Council voted her in a vote of 8-7, and her name is Claire Woodall-Bogg. So now we do have an election commission director. So that's good because we have elections or primaries coming up in August. So we need them to have their act together so that we have a stronger election process this fall. So we're happy to hear that someone's there. Then yesterday there was a Common Council meeting. A lot of things happened. Gabe will give an update on those things on Friday. You heard Marlene say that they are the Common Council has moved the Milwaukee Cares ordinance to the committee, the Public Safety Committee, and she shared with you that tomorrow, July 9th at 2:30, they'll be taking that up. If they decide to move that forward in detail, we'll let you know, or the details of that we'll let you know. Friday, there is a license committee meeting at 9 a.m. And then, as I shared with you, the Fire and Police Commission is meeting today at 6 instead of 5:30 in an executive committee. That means that's not open to the public to hopefully complete Police Chief Morales's review, because they did that last week and needed some more time. And you can get access to those meetings at the Legistar website, and that has all the meetings that are taking place, the agendas, the time, afterwards the notes and any video. And just so you know, some of those meetings, including that Public Safety Committee, have e-comments that wasn't available before, where instead of in the past you were making comments in person, well, now because of the pandemic, they invite you to make comments virtually, and you can do that versus e-comments for the Public Safety Committee. And then last, I want to remind you that Senator Baldwin has made appointments with some grassroots organizing and grassroots leaders, organizers and leaders. And so I have an appointment with her tomorrow because she wanted to hear how folks are feeling impacted by COVID. And yesterday I asked for your feedback on what was important to you, because obviously she wants to take some stronger action around that issue. And I'm just going to share what we collected from your comments, but also I connected with our two organizers, Clarissa and Travis, and our canvassing supervisor, the person who's supervising the folks who are calling you. And here is the list of things that we're going to share with her, not in any particular order, but just so you know what your neighbors are thinking. One issue is fear. Where do people get tested and how do people stay safe? They were especially concerned about safety around the vote, and also concerned now with other folks not complying with the CDC guidelines, the mask wearing, the safe distancing, etc. Folks are really hurting because unemployment is taking long to process, and they're having other economic struggles, and they're not able to get through to the claims office. And then since the moratorium ended on evictions, we're having huge influx of concerns about that. And then folks who don't have transportation or are COVID homebound are concerned about how to get access to food resources, including things you may not think about, food for their pets if they can't leave their home. Then, of course, we have the concern about parents for their kids' education and the childcare needed for them to work. And for some of those folks, also concerned about not having sufficient laptops for the number of kids in their home. Having to share the same laptop is proving to be challenging. One of our staffers said that they were distributing more than one laptop to family members when they were instructing parents to come pick them up at different locations. So I suggest call the MPS office if you're in a Milwaukee Public School to see what you can do about that. And Dr. Posley's here tomorrow. Maybe we can ask him that. The other concern was folks' mental health because of the pandemic, but also mourning all the losses of the things you can't do during the pandemic, work, seeing friends, going to church, etc., in addition to the illness and the death because of the pandemic. And also that folks are really feeling trauma, and trauma is resurfacing around and in addition to police brutality and the racism and social justice issues. Folks are feeling overwhelmed emotionally, physically, especially those who had to have their kids home all day and teach them, that they're feeling overwhelmed financially. And then on top of it, having to do new technologies or access things virtually when they might not have a lot of exposure to that. And then folks are feeling confused, right? There's mixed messages of in the zip codes 53204 and 53215, where our offices are and our huge cover the majority of our district. There's a spike, a huge spike in testing positive, but at the same time, there's confusion and contradictory action because the city continues to reopen with more, access to things and liberty, to come and go and so it's contradictory information, which causes confusion. And then because of all of this, many of our residents are less engaged and less available to do the community work that generally happens. Folks are re-examining their life priorities and making decisions. Folks are exhausted. They're even exhausted about offers to get them help and people asking questions of them. And then education is still needed because there's a lot of misconceptions and myths and conspiracy theories for and against. Folks want to know what are the long-term health impacts of COVID, and they want this information in different ways of access and in languages. And then folks are also saying that they're seeing that other folks are anxious to return to normal, so they're taking risks or being in denial because of the anxiousness of the restrictions. And then finally, folks want clear and consistent direction and support from the federal government, and for them to role model what they're asking the rest of us. So that's what we heard, folks. We like to share whatever we have with you all, and that's what you all are saying. That's what I'm going to be sharing with the senator. With that, I'd like to introduce a census video. We cannot forget about how important it is to fill out the census. And as Gabe has shown us in recent weeks, we have especially some areas that are super, super not behind in responding to it. And so we have to take it seriously. So let's go ahead and play that to get some inspiration to participate in the census.
Baby, come give me something, oh. Baby, come give me something, oh. 'Cause I can't stop loving.
We love to see our youth, and those are videos created from a group of our youth who are siblings, Jennifer, Jasmine, and I believe that's their little sister. So appreciate your creativity and digging in to share the message of the census. I want to share with you, we don't have a SOC feature today of our program and services, but tomorrow, Claudia will be on. She's going to be giving us a housing update because she meets with other housing resource folks on Thursdays. And she's going to be sharing information and resources on how to combat the heat. We've forgotten about that this year, but combating the heat has been a high risk situation for our residents, especially our elderly, disabled, and homebound residents who don't have air conditioning. We don't want to forget about that in this time of the pandemic. So she'll be sharing that tomorrow. And then Friday, Travis is going to be on, and he's going to be sharing the recommendations that have come out from the Reckless Driving Task Force. Some of you may remember that we partnered with the Common Council's task force to bring a session to the South Side and bring folks together to address this issue of speeding and reckless driving. And so the recommendations are in, and Travis will be sharing what those are. The task force will be reporting to the Common Council about that as well. And so you don't want to miss tomorrow and Friday with those updates from our staff. Now I'm going to invite our communications manager, Marisol Diaz, on to give us some motivation to fill out our surveys. Maybe not. I'll give it a second. Okay, si no, le ruego otra vez. I plead with you, to fill out our surveys. It's only going to take a couple of minutes of your time. It's in the link, 3 or 4 questions. You're in and out in like 3 minutes. So please do that. We need your input. I want to remind you that tomorrow we have Dr. Keith Posley, Superintendent of MPS, and Mr. Galvan, the Regional Superintendent, with us. Gracias, Diana. Appreciate you immensely. And then our Health Commissioner, Jeanette Kowalik, will be back and giving us an update. And then Friday, we have UWM giving us an update on what's happening there. We have Alberto Maldonado from the Roberto Hernandez Center with us. So you don't want to miss that. And then we're going to put together, gracias, Marianne. Marianne filled it out too. Next week, we want to put together a whole week dedicated to disabilities. And coming in the future, we want to talk about this issue of law enforcement reform and try to give you a vehicle to learn more about different options in the reform process across the nation, and what people, some ideas, and get your ideas about how we can strengthen our police and community relations, and the functions that they do and don't do in the future here in the community. As well as we want to tackle the issue of racial and social justice. So those are some of the weeks. If you have some other ideas, yes, we are going to have Dr. Baez back, Diana, in Spanish. We will have a Spanish day as well. So I'm working on that in my, it's going on how I can, and me and the team can make that happen on a regular basis. So we have promised, and we'll have them on bilingual education, and we'll try to get some time dedicated every week or every 2 weeks to a Spanish forum. Muy bien, Diana. Yeah, Dr. Baez is also very well informed on special education. He's a wealth of knowledge. So we'll definitely be digging into that. Listen, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you. Be safe, and we'll leave you now with a thank you for the folks that partner with us financially.
SOC viewers, we would like to thank everyone for supporting our 3 o'clock with SOC live show and for completing our SOC surveys. In addition to thanking all our residents, we would like to say thank you to our following sponsors: Wisconsin Voices, Community Development Block Grants, Neo-Philanthropy State Infrastructure Funds, Movement Voters Project, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, Tides Foundation, the Silber Foundation, City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention, City of Milwaukee Promise Zones, and all our faithful individuals who support SOC through donations. Thank you.